Hi, I'm Hope. I'm a former journalist and now run my own PR company. Throughout my career, I've spoken to and written about some really interesting people. The problem with newspapers, magazines, and even radio is that you only have a certain amount of words to tell someone's story, and that's often not enough. I've started this podcast to delve deeper into the people behind the headlines and to allow them to really tell their stories. Join me as I interview inspirational people with really interesting stories to tell. It's an article for your ears.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Hot Off the Press podcast, the podcast that delves deeper into the people behind the headlines and is an article for your ears. On today's episode, we're talking to Becki Simmons, who's the founder of Spark Community Space, a charity that she set up in October last year to help give people a space they feel that they can fit in and help them spark back into life. So, hello Becki.
Hiya.
How are you?
I'm glad this is your first one because this is my first as well.
Oh, how exciting. So let's start by talking about Spark. Tell us a little bit about the charity, how you help people and what it does.
Okay, so Spark Community Space is a brand new registered charity. We registered in October, but we've had a pilot scheme for a year, learning what works, what doesn't work, and really the impact that it makes. And so Spark Community Space is literally a place where people like myself can just go learn about the new life that maybe that they're facing, because I had a brain injury, and so Spark has been a baby of mine for 8 years in my head, figuring out how can I help people that are like me, that have had a life-changing incident or a life-changing illness or diagnosis. So it's a safe place where people can just come and be and learn to be happy in their new surroundings.
So tell us a little bit about this backstory, because you've got a really inspirational reason that you set Spark up, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, 8 years ago, I went to work, came home, had two wonderful children, and that was my life every day. You know, I was very passionate about my job. I had a very what's the word? Very empowering job. I was in charge of a lot of people, but I was very passionate about it. I loved it. Just the high pressure, the hustle and bustle of business, and I was also a business mentor for young teenagers, to express themselves through business. So I was really into the business world. And then I went to see a consultant on the Thursday, and he told me I'd have to have emergency brain surgery Saturday morning. And as you can imagine, that was hard to hear, because they said otherwise I'd be blind by the summer. So it was a no choice operation. And so I went under the knife on the Saturday morning and never went back to work again. So nowadays, people can experience that lockdown moment or feeling because we're in a lockdown. So people can not go outside their houses. But that was my everyday, from being very involved in life, very involved in community, very involved in work, then all of a sudden not to be able to go outside the front door. So my world changed overnight dramatically.
And that must have been so hard to try and adapt and, get used to your new life on your own, ultimately.
It was it's very frightening because you have many dark moments in your own mind. You know, you have very dark moments of, I'm just lying here, I'm a waste of space. I can't really do anything. I'm not the mum that I used to be. I'm not the wife I used to be. But then, with a very good support system and some very good friends around me, I found a little hope every day of something new I could do. And my husband was very much like, Becki, you can do that. Let's just try it together. Let's find a new way to do what you used to be able to do. So even now, I still have a disability. I sometimes get my words muddled up. So even doing this is a huge step for me, because sometimes I can think the word and then I have to pause and then the word might come out. So, and I remember just thinking, well, do I let that stop me partaking in life? Does that stop me being the Becki? And I have to find a way to say, do you know what? I might get my words wrong. I might say something that doesn't quite make sense, but I'm okay. And that's really hard to come to that level of acceptance within yourself when you used to be able to do so much. And so the whole world, my world, has changed. But I have a really good support system, and Spark is about being that support system for people.
Because I imagine a lot of people out there don't have a support system at all and are navigating through everything they're going through all on their own. So it's great that, you know, you had that support system.
Yeah, and it's still, even though I had a support system, it was still very scary world, this new world that was opening up, because I used to be so independent. You know, I never went for lunch with the ladies or a cup of tea at the cafe down the road because I was so into my business, focused on the children. And so I had to learn that it was okay to just breathe, take time, and to look after yourself. But it's taken a long time. It's taken me 8 years. And I even had a meeting with a consultant this week. And I said to him, I'm really struggling with public speaking because I'm starting to feel that my disability is more to people that I don't know. And he said to me, Becki, just tell people this is your struggle and they will be okay with that because you've told them. And he said, just be happy in the new you. And so even now, I'm still having people tell me, be happy in the new you, because you need that confidence all the time to go outside your front door. You know, for me, my friend owned a charity in Havant, and he said, Becki, come and volunteer for me. And I went, I just don't know if I can. And he said, Becki, you can. And I said, I just don't know. And, you know, within the first day, I was a top salesperson because I realized as soon as I
Wow.
walked in that door, I had the spark. And that's why it's called Spark, you know, because business excites me. It still excites me. And there's something that goes on inside of me when I just get excited about stuff. But my body just cannot do what it used to be able to do. My mind can't do the processes. And so Spark is just like my friend was there for me. It's about holding somebody's hand, because I get emails and messages all the time through our Facebook page about people that are just not coping with the space, the pace of the world. And I can understand that, you know, because it is scary. You know, and if you've just newly been made redundant, that's a huge life changing, you know, thing, because I don't know about you, but going for a job interview and you have to do an online process first, a personality test. The world is just so almost, it's too fast paced for the likes of me to cope with even getting a job interview. So Spark is there really to just help people realize that they're okay. It's as simple as that. It's not profound. It's just really simple, because that's me. I am simple, in the sense that I just see the obvious. People need a helping hand.
I think it's also very important to not overcomplicate things these days, and it doesn't always have to be so complex. You can just really just be simple and do the job properly. And so it's not just people with brain injuries and people like yourself that you work with, is it? It's people across the board. So who do you work with?
We will work with anybody that just needs a holding hand, because I had a message this week from somebody that heard me on an interview on the radio and just said, you've given me the strength to be able to, you know, she's got post-traumatic stress with her second baby, and she said, I just want you to know that you've encouraged me to realize that the life is worth living. And sometimes that's all people need, is that person that doesn't know them just to say, you're okay today, you can do something today. And you know, I'm not offering anybody that I know all the answers. I'm just saying I'm there so you can tell me how you're feeling. And I think these days the world is so online, digital, computer based, we're forgetting the human contact, and that is the most important thing, I think, is human contact. Zoom is great and all the technology is great as long as it goes with the personal part of life.
And speaking of, you know, the human contact, the personal side of things, you're hoping to start a very personal sort of new endeavor when COVID and everything's out of the way. So tell us more about what Spark is going to look like post COVID.
Okay, so in my head, I've got the biggest warehouse or shop that's imaginable, you know, dream big, you know, there's no limitations. I'm not living in a world of limitations anymore when it comes to my dreams. Spark, I see, when we did the pilot scheme, we had a really big space, and one half of the building or space is a charity shop, and the other half is a community cafe. When I say cafe, it's more of a slice of cake, a cup of tea, and a chat. And it's a space. So the charity shop idea is so people can come in and not feel like they're being monitored, or oh, they're going into a special place, you know, for a cup of tea and a chat. It's just the handshake. So people come in and then they think, this is a pretty cool place, sit down, have a chat, because there's so many lonely people out there. There's people that maybe have moved to the area, don't know anybody, just come in. And our aim is that we learn your name. So when you come in, it's hello, and we say your name, because I think that there's, you know, in the pilot scheme, we had so many elderly that just didn't go anywhere where somebody said, oh, good morning, Teresa, good morning, Karen, you know, and it's such a beautiful thing to do, just that simple good morning. And then I just think that that's just so special when you take the time to just learn someone's name. And so it's just to really, the space is divided into two, but works yet together.
And that's going to be in Portsmouth somewhere, isn't it?
Yes, we're
And
hoping for a nice landlord to give us a nice big space.
And you're looking for a space at the moment, aren't you? And you're hoping to raise lots of money to be able to do this, aren't you? So tell us about the crowdfunder that you're doing.
Okay, so the crowdfunder we're doing, you can find on our Facebook page, on our website. We've got it plastered all over our social media, Twitter. I'm learning that one, but it's there. And it's every penny that's donated is going for us to find our first ever space. Because when we open the doors, we don't want to be concentrating on all the bills that we have to pay. We want to be concentrating on the people. So it's very important to us that we open and the rent's paid for the first few months, just so that we open successfully. And when I say successfully, that means that we open with the person that we're helping in mind. So that's our crowdfunder. And if we reach 5,000, the council match it with 5,000. That brings us up to 10. So we're very, very privileged to have Portsmouth City Council on board with us, and they're matching up to the value of £5,000. So we're very excited about that.
That is just amazing. And, you know, they're just one of many people that have supported you. I mean, just look at social media and, you know, I've seen you on some of the local networking groups, and the support for Spark and you is just incredible. So it'd be great. I mean, if you wanted to shout anyone out, or if you had any thanks, like who has supported you?
The list is endless, but I'm old school. I like to go to the very start of the story, and I would like to thank my consultant, Mr. Slat at QA Hospital, because he's the neurologist that literally said to me, Becki, you can. And he literally just said to me, come on, let's do this together. And he was just so kind, you know. And so that's my first thank you, is Dr. Slat at QA Hospital. And I was really privileged to be able to say to him this week, it's because of him that we're here today talking about Spark Community Space. And I think that the simple words of a kindness can really help somebody's dreams come true. You know, he didn't know when he was having me as a patient that actually the charity would now be into being. So he's the very first person I'd like to thank. And then obviously there's lots of people along the way. One is you, Hope, because you've been awesome with our PR and you've been really kind. And I think that for me, it's huge because you didn't know me and you've trusted me. And that's a huge thank you. So because of you, I found Belinda Dickens at Portsmouth News, who's been amazing. And then it's like a network of people, isn't it, along the journey of MNC networking. Liz Ranger, she's the first lady. The first time I ever met her, she said to me, Becki, I want you on our network. And then Richard Peckham at Business Builders. I went to school with him when I was 16. So and I bumped into him in Albert Road. So how fun is that? And then he's put me into Business Builders, where I found Emma Weatherstone, and everyone's just connected and just given me another person to talk to. But one of the biggest thanks locally is also to Express FM, to Liam Howes, Darren Gamblin, and Ian James at Express FM, because they have literally been championing me when Spark was, honestly, when we were, I think, 4 weeks old. So, and I don't want to forget all the people along the way to say thank you to. And obviously Southern Electrical Recycling, because they give me all the stuff to sell. and it, that's why I get these random things of like 100 office chairs to sell, and people are like, where do you get all this stuff from? And I'm like, well, it's the kindness of people that are just behind Spark. They want to see Spark open. And then my biggest hero is Chris Atwell, who's a councillor in the ward of where I live, St Thomas Ward, and he literally championed me before we were even a charity, and that's what I love. People that don't know you champion you when you're unknown. Do you know what I mean? It's very easy to get on the bandwagon of somebody that's maybe making a name, but when people don't know Spark, they don't know anything, and they're like, Becki, we want to help you because they've seen the pilot scheme in action, they know it works, and the impact is huge.
And I think in Portsmouth especially, there's a real community spirit, and everyone just comes together.
It's amazing. And Sherlock Spa in Southsea, this is how generous the people of Southsea are. Sherlock Spa have offered us a place to have our coffee mornings when we reopen, free of charge. And you think to yourself, do I deserve this? Am I unique? No. And I just get a little bit overwhelmed by the generosity of people that, are just genuinely lovely people.
So if you had a message to say or to give to someone who is maybe in a position that you were in, a similar position, or not anywhere near your position, but is just having those doubts and feeling like they can't do something, what would you say to them?
Okay, the mind's a very powerful game, I always say, and you can have a fight with yourself in your mind about all the things that you can't do. And I would just say, just start doing one thing every day to say, I can, and start to build your confidence. Don't try and run before you can walk, and don't walk before you can just get up out of the chair. It's as simple as that. Make small steps, and those small steps become a long walk, become a jog, because for me, I had to learn to go outside the front door on my own, and it was scary. That's why we got a dog. We got a dog for that reason, I know. And it's like, just so that I had to get out every day. And sometimes you just, even now I can have what I call black cloud moments of where you just feel like, I just want to stay in bed. I just can't face the world today. And I surround myself with 4 people that don't listen to my nonsense and encourage me to do better. I have got 4 close friends that just say to me, come on, Becki, get out of your headspace. So because I don't, sometimes telling your story can be very tiring. So I always think, don't tell everybody your story. Just tell 4 people that get you, but don't support where you're at, but encourage you to keep going. Because I think that I've got such a good support network now of people that just say, come on, Becki, you can get out of bed today. Because we all have those moments. I still have those moments, but I just think, I want Spark to be able to help people spark back into life. You might be facing redundancy, bills that you can't pay. Just message me, just reach out and just make somebody that you don't, maybe doesn't even know you, just to say, look, come on, you can do this. Build yourself a good support network. If you've only got one person, reach out. Don't stay silent. Start talking about your story. This is the first time in years I've spoken about my story. I have kept my struggles quiet, but because of Spark and what I wanted to achieve, I've had to come away from the silence of and be honest and tell people, actually, do you know what, I struggle, and I have moments of where I have seizures, and when you have a seizure in public, it's not pleasant. But I can't let that define me for the rest of my days. I have to go, do you know what? I am Becki. I am a little bit different, and I might have a seizure and I might get my words wrong, but I'm still going to succeed. I am still worth something. And that's the key. Everybody has a worth, uh, just find what your worth is. And
That's
if you don't
amazing.
know it, yeah. And I just, even talking to you, just your smile makes me smile.
Oh, don't. You're going to make me cry.
It's true though, isn't it? If we start seeing the good in people, how much better will we feel about ourselves by the end of the day? and it's just finding those good things.
Kindness goes a long way, definitely.
It does. And I've just been overwhelmed by people that have showed me kindness. How dare I not pass that on?
That's amazing. So, Becki, where can we find you if anyone wants to reach out, get in touch, or just to tell you how much you've inspired them?
Okay, so if you can't hear me, everyone always tells me, "Oh, you're too loud," or something like that, and I'm going, "You know what? I'm going to be loud. I'm going to be me," And I just think you can find me on Facebook, Spark Community Space. The same is our web address, Spark Community Space. Same as Instagram. We've kept it really simple, but Twitter is at Spark Into Life. But I can promise you every message is read and every email is read and it's answered, because that's what I'm passionate about. That if somebody's bothered to contact us, then we have to be bothered to make sure we return the reply. And it's only me at the moment that replies, so that it's personal. And it's not going to somebody that you don't know. It's a very safe place to make contact. And as the charity grows, obviously that will change, but that's our priority, is we go at the pace of the slowest person. We're not in a rush. I'm in a rush to open, don't get me wrong. But when we're open, I'm not in a rush. And our motto is, the person sitting in front of us is the most important person, not the queue behind them. I've been looked over my whole life. I've been, oh, who else is coming into the room that's more interesting? And how dare I then overlook somebody that wants my attention now? And I just think, just make contact. We're here. I've had some lovely, lovely emails and messages from people that have heard us on the radio, just desperate, and it's just beautiful to think that somebody trusts me with their vulnerabilities.
That's amazing. That has been so inspiring, Becki. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's been lovely talking to you.
It's been better talking to you.
If you liked what you heard today, make sure you subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts to hear more inspirational stories.